Right, we have here a Christmas gift for Russ from Grant, and it's going to be about making homemade beer the easy way. Now there's other ways of doing it. There's a little instruction sheet comes with every can of malt, and you can use that and it'll work. But you will work more than if you do it my way. Now, first of all, the instructions tell you to pour the malt in the primary fermenter and rinse the can out several times. Well, I've already washed the outside of the can, and now we just pour the malt in, and after it's pretty well all in, just drop the can in instead of rinsing it out several times. And then we have sugar. Okay. It calls for 1 kilogram of sugar, and if you save your first malt can, you can use it to measure your sugar. It holds exactly 1 kilogram. Now if you want to make a real nice light beer, don't put the sugar in. And you'll have a real good light beer. If you want a heavy-bodied light beer still, put a can and a half of malt in, and no sugar. I have tried this on people who are regular beer drinkers, and they can't tell the difference in taste between the light beer and the full body, or the full alcohol beer. Now, over here on the stove we have a pot of hot water, about 2.5 gallons. And that's not a strict measurement, just somewhere in that vicinity. And then pour that in the primary fermenter with the malt and the sugar. And we stir it up to dissolve the sugar, otherwise it will candy and become difficult to dissolve. So you do it right away. Now on the other side here, I'll turn it around, there's a mark, 23 liters. After we dissolve this part of the mixture, we fill that tub up with some more water and bring it up to this level. Now, I like to keep it just a little bit below the 23 liter level, because when you siphon it into the next container, you don't have to worry about it overfilling. You can always top it up with water later. But overfilling makes a mess that only you can clean up. We have been making this beer for about 3.5 years. I estimate that I've made about 150 batches. I only had one batch go bad, and I'll explain that to you when we move to the next step of the function. Okay, now that's dissolved. If you want to take a break for a minute while I get some more water.
Okay.
Corn sugar for twice the price. Doesn't make it any better or any worse. Just plain table sugar is good enough. Now we're going to top this up.
Now that's just tap water, right? And is it
That's cold tap water.
That's cold, okay.
I don't have quite enough, and I'll get some more.
Okay.
So now I can see that mark from the inside here, and I'll just stay a little bit below it for the reason I mentioned before.
Right.
Make sure we don't have a mess later on.
Now how are you were using? Is it boiling or almost boiling, or?
It doesn't have to be boiling water.
Okay.
There are some kits out that come with a package of hops, and then you have to simmer them for about an hour, and they make really great beer. But this beer is good enough for the people I drink with, and you don't have to go to all that trouble.
I can attest to this beer being excellent, by the way.
Yeah, this is real ale. I use mainly the Australian malts because of that, because there's no nonsense with them, and they're the lowest priced ones around. in this area. Okay, now you can put your finger in it to see what the temperature's like.
Here, I'll just dip the camera in there, Russ.
Outside. No, I'm not going to put my finger in it.
I'll just dip the camera in and see what it says.
Yeah, dip the camera in, okay. Okay, now it comes with a little package of yeast. And you know that if you put yeast in when it's too hot, it's going to kill the yeast.
Okay.
However, this is usually when it's half hot water and half cold water, it's just about right to sprinkle the yeast in.
Russ, I've always found the best way to tell whether yeast should go in is to ask Mom.
Yeah, well, here's what they tell you to do. They tell you to put it in a pan of a cup of hot water and heat it and ferment it or get it activated ahead of time. And that just, again, takes too much time. I just sprinkle it in there to brew it. And if you lose your package of yeast, you can use ordinary bread yeast. Then I give the top of it a little stir. Not much. Not much, okay? And now we take this batch and we put it in the brewing room. This is the brewing room over here. But unfortunately, or fortunately, we already have a batch going in here.
Okay.
Now, I put it up high for two reasons. For siphoning out, and it's warmer up there. I have it on top of the water conditioner salt tank. And we're going to take this one off. This is the primary fermenter. And you seal it with a plastic and a bungee. And now we're going to move to this batch. This is another Australian draft.
Okay.
We're going to siphon it into the secondary fermenter right now.
Okay. So normally that might be empty when you were doing this first one. We're sort of doing some things a little out of order in order to get it on the camera, is that right?
That's right. Usually
okay.
I only bother with the one tub.
Right.
I finish the cycle and start another one, but we want to get this in the proper order.
Great.
Okay, so we siphon it from this one. It should stay in the primary fermenter for anywhere from 4 to 7 days because the yeast works very fast at the beginning. And if you put it in the secondary fermenter right away, it will foam over and you have another cleanup job on your hands. So I haven't had a cleanup job for a long time. And because I didn't like the first one. Now, the other thing I was going to mention, I've only had one bad batch of beer in all the time I've been making it.
Right.
And that's because I left it too long in the primary fermenter. It stayed in there for 2 weeks. I lost track of it, and it was 1 week, it was 2 weeks.
Oh, really?
And it went sour. So, but you can taste it as you siphon it out. And if it doesn't taste sour, it's going to be okay.
Okay.
This one I sure will be okay. Now, this is a siphon hose with
While he's doing that, Russ, I'm just going to interrupt and let you know that he's held this over 1 day. It's been in there 8 days. 1 day longer than normal. So if it goes sour, I'm holding you completely responsible.
Yeah, do that. Part my back.
That's okay. I'm going to try and get down so I can see where
This is a small place.
Yes.
This is where you taste it.
Right out of the siphon, Russ. In order to get the siphon started, of course.
And while that's siphoning, normally I take a couple of liters and put it in this container to make sure this doesn't overfill, because they're not all the same. They look all the same, but some hold a liter or two more than the others.
Okay.
But we'll be watching this one.
Okay.
And you'll see 3 more secondary fermenters here. We have stout in that one, which we will bottle later. And in this one we have a Bordeaux red wine. And here we have a white French Columbine. And those are Sutter Creek kits, and they're made the same way as the beer.
Oh, really?
Except that there's an ad pack that comes with it when you start it up. You just dump this package of powder in.
Right.
I have no idea what it is, but I trust it. And incidentally, the beer, the finished product, runs at a cost of about $3 a dozen. And the wine runs at a cost of between $1.25 and $1.50 a bottle, and it's pretty good wine.
Yeah, it is. It's very nice. The kit must be made in Bordeaux then. I mean,
no, it's just they use a Bordeaux type grape.
Oh, okay. Okay.
The grapes concentrate come from California.
Okay.
And there's malt concentrates from Britain, Australia, Canada, and all over. But they just give them those names.
Right. All right.
Maybe the original vines came from the Bordeaux district.
I had visions of you getting all your kids to stamp the grapes.
Yeah. Well, I think we can just shut it off.
Okay, I will. Sure.
The yeast is in, and you don't have to mix it all up, but you can if you want to. Excuse me a moment. Now, once the yeast is in and stirred in, we put a plastic cover over the tub.
Okay.
And then we get the bungee that I left in the brewing room.
This is called a pan that I'm doing here, Russ. I'm panning.
And the reason for the primary and secondary fermenter again is because when you first start the brew going, it ferments it very fast. And then after a few days, it slows down. And then when it slows down, we do what we just did over here. We put it in the secondary fermenter.
Right.
And that stays like that for 4 to 7 days. And over here, we have just finished, as you remember, siphoning it into the secondary fermenter. And if you bring the camera in here, you can see it's all foamy on top and it's not filled right up. And that's why I leave that a little bit below 23 liters. In a few days, I'll come down with some more water, warm water, not hot water, and bring it right up into the neck.
Right.
Now this does two things. It allows less air to go in, and it also makes the cleanup easier, because there's usually a little scum around the top. And if it's down here, you can't get it. If it's here, you can scrub it out rather easily.
Now, between now and when you add the water, that's likely to rise on its own about half the distance.
Exactly.
Like that? Yeah, okay.
Exactly. So you wait till it settles down more or less.
Right.
Then bring it right up into the neck. As you can see, this wine is right up into the neck.
Okay.
Where you can reach it.
Yeah.
And this is an airlock. Just looking at it, you can tell what it does. The water seals it, and the pressure from the fermentation moves it up, and it bubbles out, and there's little holes in the top. It allows the air out, doesn't allow any air in. That is the secret of fermentation. And you can see this little tag I put on here.
I would zoom, but I'm not getting good zooming on this.
This is draft beer, set up November 24th, second fermentation November 30th, bottle it December 15th, drink it December 25th.
Good stuff.
That's how long it takes.
Right.
Okay. Now we've gone through the first two stages of beer making, and now we're going to go through the third stage, which is bottling. I'll get this out of the way. We've just brought down 6 dozen bottles that we've washed in the dishwasher.
Okay.
Now, if you don't have a dishwasher, just rinse the bottles out in hot water, and then you put in a few ounces of this mixture of sulfate. It says vinegar, but it's not vinegar. It's sulfate and water. They sell it in little packages at the wine stores, and you mix it with a couple of liters of water, and you put a couple of ounces in each bottle, rinse it out, pour it back in here after you finish, because I've used this for about 6 months now.
Oh, okay.
So use it over and over again.
Okay.
And you rinse it out with cold water, and it's clear. Some people use the detergent to wash their bottles. Now that's what we use in the dishwasher, because it does all the work.
Right.
But if you're rinsing detergent out of bottles by hand, It's a big, long, messy job.
Right.
Now, my wine bottles do not fit in the dishwasher, so this is the way I do them.
Okay.
I rinse them out immediately after use. And this is very important, that as soon as you finish pouring your beer or wine, you cannot escape having some sediment in the bottom. You can rack it a dozen times, you're still going to get sediment in the bottom. If you chill the beer very well, very cold, it'll stay there and you can pour your beer and it won't come out.
Oh,
And if a
okay.
little bit does come out, it's not going to kill you.
Okay.
So, but you rinse that bottle 3 times in hot water before you put it away. Because if you put it away with a little bit of yeast in it, when you go to use it, it'll be growing and you'll have a massive cleanup job.
Now, that's an interesting question. When I was at my brother's, I noticed he used plastic bottles. He had some
Yeah.
plastic bottles that he used. Are they a throwaway?
I've never used plastic bottles, but there's no problem.
Oh, okay, okay.
As well, no, I guess I never have. Never have used plastic.
Doesn't feel the same, let me tell you.
Pardon?
It doesn't feel the same to drink it out of a bottle
it's
that's
just
got
like-
give, you know?
Just like drinking coffee out of a styrofoam cup.
Right.
It's not near as good, especially tea out of a styrofoam cup. It's not near as good as out of a teacup.
That's true.
Okay? So,
My father would particularly agree with you on that one.
yeah, I'm sure. Okay, now we're going to move this out of the way for now.
Okay.
And this is my system for bottling. If you want to come around here,
Sure.
Grant, and we stack all the bottles in nice, neat little rows like toy soldiers. We won't go through the whole process on camera, but
No, in fact, I can. If I'm going to stop this so I can give you a hand, okay?
yeah. Okay.
Okay, anytime.
Hold it. Okay, now we're going to siphon this stout from that secondary fermenter because it's time. It's a couple of days over, and that's something you don't need to worry about. Once it's in there and sealed, it can go a few days over and it's not going to go bad.
Okay.
The only place you have to worry is in that primary fermenter. And once you once you bottle it, you don't have to worry about going bad. It seems to disappear rather quickly.
Yeah.
So we're going to siphon it into this tub. And this way we get another taste of the beer.
Okay. Now, I'm curious.
Yeah.
Why would it? Is it because? Why would it go off in the primary fermenter and not in the secondary? What's the
There's
difference?
more
between
air in that.
Oh, okay. So it's because you've got that thing that's letting the air out but not in.
That's
That
right.
keeps it from. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
the plastic that we put over the primary fermenter seals it to a certain extent, but there's also a couple of cubic feet of air.
Of air stuck in
already.
there. Sure. Okay.
And that's what makes it ferment, and then you have to slow it down.
Okay.
So we have to wait for that to go into the tub for bottling purposes. And the reason we do that is that we have to put in the bubbly. And now this is a sugar that you cannot eliminate.
Oh, okay. So even if you're making light beer, this goes in no matter what.
This goes in anyway, yeah. Because the a lot of the recipes tell you to put a quarter teaspoonful into each bottle.
Right.
Well, there's 60 bottles laying out here. If you want to do that 60 times, you go ahead.
Right.
But the easy way is to put a cup and an eighth. No more, no less. A cup and an eighth in the whole batch. And you put it in anytime now.
Would I take it that's 60 times the number of the amount per bottle that comes out to a cup and an
That's
eighth?
right. This
Okay.
makes 60 bottles of beer.
Right.
Usually a few over, depending on how full you make it. Now they'll tell you to keep within a half an inch of the top of the neck of the bottle when you bottle it. That'd be up into here.
Right.
But if it's down 3/4 or an inch, it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, but it can't go above. You need that air
You
space.
need a little bit of air in there.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's right flush, you pour it back in and
Okay.
Some of it.
Okay. When you first started, did you put the teaspoon into each bottle?
No, never. Did when I was a young man making beer, I did it that way.
Right.
But one of the fellows at Prairie Brewers told me cup and an eighth.
Okay.
That works. So this cup and an eighth is in there now, and it will mix with that whole batch. But the point of this exercise is we don't want to move that tub till it comes dry, because there's yeast at the bottom of it, and if we leave it undisturbed, we'll get a clearer beer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's pretty hard to tell with stout whether it's clear or not because it's so dark anyway.
Right.
But the clear beers, better to keep it out as much as you can. So we have a little pause here for...
While we're pausing, I'll just ask a couple of quick questions. So that's almost like, what's the word you use in winemaking when you're actually...
racking.
Yeah, that's like racking. By not moving it, you're doing a sort of an imitation of racking.
Exactly.
Okay. And the other question was, you make mostly stout, is that right?
No.
Oh, okay.
It seems that whenever... it's Judy, when she comes over, which seems to be running stout. But no, I make real ale, which we put down today.
Yes.
Bitters, draft, lager, and stout. 5 kinds.
Oh, okay.
5 kinds. And, but I don't usually have all of them going at once for drinking purposes. This one batch at a time is about all I can keep up with the demand around here.
Of course.
But I have put away, out of my last few batches, I put a case each away for Christmas of all of those. We're going to have 5 kinds of beer Christmas and 2 kinds of wine, 3 kinds of wine.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, we'll take that pause now.
That is siphoning into the tub, back into the primary fermenter, as you say. We have stacked these beer bottles in nice little rows, and then we get ready to bottle. When it's done over there, we're going to put it up on this chair to give us the height for siphoning. And after that, we'll show you how the assembly line works for bottling and capping.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're still waiting for the beer to go into the primary fermenter for bottling and mixing purposes. And we'll dwell on a subject that I should have tackled first, and that's sterilization of equipment. Now, you can't boil plastic very much, so you have to use other means. You can use detergent, or you can use the sulfate. What I do, my primary fermenter never rests. So all I do is rinse it out with hot water and start another batch of something. But the secondary fermenters, when they're not in use, I have rinsed it out with hot water, cleaned it out very well, and then I put about a cupful of this mixture of sulfate in it.
Okay.
Pour it in there, shake it up, put this on it, and nothing's going to grow. And I leave it there till I'm ready to use it. Then when I'm ready to use it, I pour the sulfate back into this container, rinse this out about twice. We have a shower in the basement, and I use the shower head and put that under there, and rinse it out twice with cold water. Ooh, smell it. If you don't smell sulfate, it's clean. You don't. Now this is the way I've been doing it for 3.5 years, and I haven't had any problems with it.
Okay.
And we did talk about cleaning the bottles that way.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Now I have half of the mixture back in the primary fermenter, and the other half is going into the big red pot that we started out with. And the reason for that is I'm in my early 70s, and 5 gallons to lift up there is rather heavy. So we just put it in half at a time. And when the other is finished, then we will put it up. Now, there it is already, but we'll wait till we have the rest of it in the pot, put it in, and we're ready to bottle.
I have to tell you, I'm really enjoying the galloping gourmet style of doing this, that we've got each step already done in the oven and ready to go when we come to it.
Yeah. Well, it's just a coincidence. It's not often I have everything ready for the same day.
Right.
Matter of fact, I try not to. Because like it's easy to come down and spend 15 minutes to set it up, another few minutes to secondary ferment it. You know, there's no problem, and you do other little things. But bottling, if I bottle by myself, it takes an hour.
Really?
If Joy helps me, it takes a half an hour. But so it's 1 person hour.
Right. No matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
Convenient that it timed to my day off for the month.
That the siphoning process is almost finished, but when it comes to the end, you don't try to get every drop out of that secondary fermenter, because you're going to get yeast. Just wait till it comes out and it quits pumping on its own.
So yeah, as soon as the siphon runs dry, you stop.
Yeah, you could get another bottle of beer out of it if you went to the very bottom, but then it spoils the whole batch.
Right.
It doesn't spoil it, but it's not as nice.
Right. Okay. While we're waiting, Russ, there's someone else here who wants to say hello. This, where'd she go? That's Zoe. And Zoe's been trying to get on camera all day. Zoe is not our Westie, Russ, and she's one of the other 2 Westies in the family. And she wanted to say hi to you.
Say hi to Russ.
You gonna talk to us, Zoe? Can you talk to me? Can you talk to me? Huh? We'll go back to the beer now. I'm rolling again because there's air in the tube. So we're running out of batch here.
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully, Russ, you can hear in the background some music playing. We've got it on just on the off chance. Minister Betzler is also known as Big Daddy and the Dixie Cats. Now, this isn't him you're listening to, but it is a semblance of, it's the Sackville 5, and it's a semblance of some of the work you get to hear when you go to his performances. Yes, we're ready.
Okay, we have the second half of the batch in our pot. And we need this siphoning hose again, of course. Just dump it in there for now. And here's the second half of our batch.
Oh, isn't that clever?
Mind you, it helps to be 6'6" when you're doing this. We set this aside for later cleanup. Now we.
Yep.
I'm going to put my back to the thing.
That's okay. I've got you.
Stir in so that the sugar is evenly dispersed in the batch. Okay. Now we're ready to siphon. Messy business. Not too messy. Usually I don't. One day I did this and I walked away from it. All I did was put the hose in and I had to go up the stairs for something. I came back and the beer was coming out all over the place. Okay?
Zoe remembers that day, don't you, Zoe?
Now, there's I keep these 2 little chamois type cloths handy because you can't help but spill some. But I'd rather drink it than spill it. Well, Grant, if you want to come around here and show how this process works with the bottles. We have all the bottles on the bench. We keep it handy.
Yes.
And we just use the bottles, and when we can't reach them, we pull the newspaper, and the other bottles come over.
Yeah, I love it.
Now, when I'm bottling alone, I do a dozen, cap a dozen. Do a dozen, cap a dozen. But when someone's with me to do the capping, we just go straight through on it. Now we get another taste of beer. When we first did this, we shut it off for every bottle. That takes time. That makes a mess.
and gets the capper, the bottler a little
And
high.
we have the dog coming up to help.
Yes, there's Zoe down
Now
there.
that one's a little bit too full. What I'll do afterwards is pour some out of that one. But if I stop now, this thing will just,
Boy, this is all timing, isn't it?
yeah. Oh, you're supposed to go up in around here.
Right.
We'll do a dozen. Oh, you see that one's a little low, I'll adjust.
Right.
Pretty hard to get it just right, and if you shut it off each time, it slows down the process and it's hard on the fingers. Oh golly, there's another one. When we bought this house, we were blessed with a kitchen in the basement. There was an illegal suite here. But now we have facilities for beer making, laundry, and party time. What's that, 2, 4, 6, 8?
This will be 10 when the one you're finishing. So that's 12 there.
That's 12, okay. Now this is the first dozen, and it makes at least 5 dozen, but now I shut it off with this gadget. And now, here's the thing I'm proud of the most. Just take the newspaper, pull it over, you get the next dozen.
All lined up and ready to
No
go.
reaching. Okay?
Okay.
Now, there were a couple that had too much in them. This. It's a lot easier to pour them back in there than pour them in another bottle.
I would guess so.
Now, the next step is capping. You need a capper. And the worst thing that can happen when you're making beer is you run out of caps. So whenever you buy malt, make sure you have enough caps. If you do it then, it'll be there when you go to bottle.
I had this image that this was going to be difficult. Capping's really quite easy.
Oh yeah. Well, I have everything set up here for a left-handed person. If you were to do this, are you right-handed?
Yes, I am. So's Russ.
If you were to do this, you'd find it awkward. And if it was the other way around, I'd find it awkward. So whatever you are, if you're right-handed or left-handed, you have to set things up. And we'll show you what happens to the first dozen, and then we'll shut the camera off and do the other fours.
Train me in bottle capping.
The music stopped.
Yes, I noticed that.
Yeah,
It's tragic, really.
tragic, real tragic. We should put our own record on it too. But that's okay. Goes quite fast, as you can see. But you have to, with this type of capper, because this is the kind you get, and it is a good kind, what you do is set it down and just release it for an instant, and it finds its own center. Then you clinch it.
Now, I guess you could do now you could just do this with screw tops, eh? Is that possible? Or
You can do it with screw tops too, yes, yes.
are these the bottles you've got here? Are they still being used, or like they're the stubby brown bottles? I thought they were out of use.
Yeah, the beer people still use these.
Okay, that's right.
And actually, you're supposed to buy bottles. You're not supposed to use these. But if we were producing tape for sale, we'd have to use different bottles.
Right.
So, but that's how easy it is to bottle and cap it.
So no selling this tape, Russ.
Pardon?
I was just telling my brother he couldn't sell the tape. He tends to do that sort of thing.
No.
You know what
I'd
retailers are
I'd
like.
like a copy of it, though.
Okay.
So now, the other thing is, with the boxes, we're careful not to open them too much, because the bottles will last longer than the boxes, and the boxes are very handy. So this is what we do with them, of course. We put them, we'll get this dozen packed away, and we'll show you what we do with them, and then we'll carry on with the rest on our own. Always make sure you get a couple at this end so it doesn't fall off the chair. It has happened.
Yeah.
There we are. Now,
Okay.
it's in the box. It goes into the fermenting room again.
We're trading places here.
Now, there's a little spot around the corner here close to the heater. And we put it there 5 or 6 days. You see it around the corner there?
Yeah, just a little there,
And
yeah.
we stack them right up, the whole 5 dozen. Then, after 5 or 6 days, we come over here to the cold room. We have a cold room under the stairs.
Oops. Now, I suspect I'm having trouble seeing you in
I'll
there.
put some light. Oh, can you get any closer?
I'm gonna have to stop and unplug, so I'll do
Oh,
that.
no, that's okay.
Okay,
Just put
okay.
them there.
Okay.
In this room, after it's spent about a week or 5 or 6 days in the hot room, we put it in the cold room. And we leave it there, and about another 5 or 6 days, it's ready to drink. And and it's a nice temperature in this particular room. I don't know if it gets that cold in Vancouver, but or British Columbia, but it gets cool in there, and it's a nice temperature for drinking it. But in order to solidify the yeast sediment, if you keep it in the fridge just before you drink it, get it good and
Right.
cold.
Right.
And the civilized way to drink beer is in a frosted glass. But one more thing, don't lay it on its side in the fridge. Always store it upright, and the sediment will stay at the bottom
Oh, okay, sure.
instead of getting into your drink.
Now, I seem to remember at one point in a conversation, do you climate control these rooms at all? I thought you actually kept a thermometer down here.
Well, I
and checked on-
had one, but
Yeah.
it keeps in here, for example. It stays. The ideal temperature is 23 degrees
Okay.
for fermenting, and this room stays at 21 degrees, which is close enough, all year round.
Okay.
In the winter, when it's cold, you have the furnace going. In the summer, when it's warm, you still have the hot water heater going, and it keeps it. I monitored it, but I
Right.
didn't control it.
Okay.
I monitored it, and that room stays cool all summer too.
Right.
So we're fortunate in that we have the right situation. Now, there are heaters you can buy to maintain the proper temperature, and of course there's refrigeration.
Right.
But that's all money. We're showing you the quick, economical, easy way to make homemade beer.
Okay.
And now we'll go try one.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're coming up, Joy. I'll bring.
Are rolling.
We are rolling. Now it's time to celebrate. After all the beer has been bottled, put away, we crack one open. Frosted glass, the only civilized way to do beer. Now, when you pour the beer, you try not to let it gurgle. It'll gurgle a little bit at first because the yeast has settled to the bottom of the bottle, and we want it to stay there. We don't want it in our glass. And you keep an eye on it, and when you get near the end, you see a little bit coming. No, none coming yet. There you go. Nice clear. This is not what we bottled today. This is real ale, which we set up today. We set up another batch of this today.
Okay. Okay.
And this is yours, Grant.
Thank you.
Now I'll see if I can pour another one without shaking as much as I did that time.
Well, you know, the camera makes people nervous. What can I
No,
tell
it
you?
isn't the camera. Cameras don't make me nervous. Keeping still makes me nervous. There you go. These are big mugs. They'll actually hold 2 bottles of beer. There's a little bit of yeast in the bottom.
Okay.
don't forget, rinse them out 3 times
Right.
before you put them away.
Okay.
Like I'm gonna do it right now.
All right. That's a good idea. When it comes to cleaning, you have to make sure you work out things on Russell. You'd shoot me if I panned over towards you, would you? Mrs. Betzler's to my right and is camera shy, Russell.
And I don't know why.
Camera shy.
I don't know why she's camera shy.
Oh, you're totally silhouetted there.
So now we put them away.
Okay.
Save yourself a lot of work later if you do that. We didn't talk about
Oops.
hydrometers. You can get a hydrometer to measure the beer before you bottle it, and usually it's around 1,002 to 1,006. The stout is 1,006 when it's right. But the simpler way is to just take the cap off, the airlock off the top of the fermenter, and if you don't see it bubbling, it's time to bottle that beer.
Okay. Great.
Are you finished now?
We're just gonna, I think we're gonna get the taste here. There we go. Merry Christmas, Russell.
Salute, Merry Christmas.
That's all.